So let's push the boundaries out a little bit now. So, as I said, don't forget this is a week's worth of practice here, so you may find this a bit challenging. I'll tell you what, do excuse me, I find that as well. You're not believing I'm just getting over pneumonia. Anyway, not to worry about that. So when playing here, we're going to play the root notes of each of the intro chords, the E minor 7, the G, and the A7 sus4. And we're going to play in that same pattern as we've done before, which is basically the... So just make sure you've nailed that first. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to make sure you're doing. So what we're going to do now, we're going to play the root note of each chord before we change it. So we're going to play the open E, then we're going to play the G, that third fret of the bottom E string, then we're going to play the open A. Second time round makes it more challenging. We're going to go and then play the E note, which is going to be the second fret of the D string. Then we're going to play the open G, and then we're going to play the A note, which is the second fret of the G string. So what we're going to have is this, and I'm going to do it nice and slowly, mainly because I'll probably make an error if I do anyway. So we're going to go like this. We're going to play the A note. Then we're going to play the E note. Then we're going to play the G note. And then we can play the A note. And then back to the beginning again. Etc, etc. So it's quite challenging. So I'm going to give you a couple of, well, one tip actually. I've only got one tip for this. When you're playing the open and the G and the A, it's quite easy because you're near the bottom of the lower strings. It's easier to pick those out. Obviously the bottom E is easy. So's the G, like that. And so to a certain extent is the A. But I rest my hand just there so I can hit it because it's too difficult to go like that with no, so you try and rest it like that. And then when you come up to the higher notes, I find it easier to pick upwards. And again, I'm resting my hand just before I hit the notes. Like that. Okay, so that is relatively difficult. So what I'm going to do with you now, we have a I'm going to run through it nice and slowly once or twice with you so you can get used to it. You've got to now practice this and nail it before you go through it with me. And then we'll have a very quick practice with the metronome as well. Okay then, so we're going to do it after 4 nice and slowly. Here we go. So it's like the root note followed by the strumming. Like that. Okay. So instead of going, we're hitting. So instead of the strum there, you're hitting the root note. Okay, after 4, we'll go through that once nice and slowly, the whole sequence. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... just like that. Okay, so you've played that through the once. It's now up to you to play with it, get it accurate, and then play along with the metronome, which we're going to do now at the same speed as we did before at 162. Is it 162?
122.
Oh, 122. 162, you idiot. 122. I'm going to play along with it. Again, use your own metronome, start at 100 and build up. So here we go then. We're going to give you a nice counting of 4 like I did before. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. you go. I ended on an E, G there, but it doesn't matter, you can go back to the E. That is quite challenging, and I would say for a lot of it, that's actually probably a lot harder than some of the stuff we're going to learn in the intro next week, because it's a bit more deliberate. But to pick the is not an easy thing to do. I wasn't looking at my guitar then, to be honest with you. I should do, but if you look at it, then you'll be a lot more accurate. But just remember that little tip of just when you're not plucking the opens, the low string, the low E, and any of the frets, rest your hand there before you pick it, and that will become even more apparent when we go on to the intro and the lead bit, which will be week 2. And so keep practicing, make sure you've nailed everything, and when you have, I'll see you in week 2.